Hello again, and welcome to Communication Theories Online. I hope things are going good. If they're not, make sure you write me and tell me. Section 2 starts about relationship development, or maybe it's section 3, but it's chapter 8. I do know that. How do relationships develop? Have you ever thought about that? I know there are some relationships that we cultivate, we plan to develop. Uh, Maybe you see somebody that is attractive and you would like to get to know them better. So you might focus on that particular relationship and try to make it develop. Others develop just because the people are around. Sometimes you have things in common. You like the same things. You run into each other the same places. Sometimes you're drawn to them. You're drawn to them and you think that it'd be nice to have them as part of your life, whether it's romantic or not. It's I'd like to know that person better. So maybe it's somebody that's talented in a way you want to be talented, or somebody that is athletic, or somebody that's just has a warm smile. You enjoy conversation with them. You're drawn to that aspect of it. Excuse me. So the first three chapters, 8, 9, and 10, are about developing that relationship. And chapter 8, social penetration theory, is, even the book states, it's probably one of the most well remembered by students. Uh, Whether it's the simplistic design or the onion metaphor, excuse me, or whatever the case may be, it's something that we tend to connect with. When I've taught this class online before, I had some students talk about how their relationship with their significant other uh, group. I ask you to find something in your life to use one of these theories to explain, and many of them picked the social penetration theory, talked about how their relationship with their significant other has developed. And so let's talk a little bit about it. The authors basically say that the personality structure is like an onion, and the deeper the layers are, the more guarded they are, just like the center of the onion is protected by all the other layers. And depth basically is how deep on a topic you go. Now, not only is there depth, but there's breadth, and breadth is the various topics. So kind of like go around the onion, and this is sports, and this is cooking, and this is family, and this is school, and this is a hobby, and this is another hobby, and this is whatever. And so they basically surround the onion with the different topics. You could know somebody very deep in one particular topic, but know very little about the rest of them. Uh, think about all the news stories of the secret lives that people have. People thought they knew them very well. They were intimate with them. They were married to them, and they had a whole other life somewhere else. So it's depth and breadth that we have to look at. The law of reciprocity basically says that if I expose some information to you, you'll expose some information back to me, and therefore we start trusting one another with more and more intimate information. And social exchange is the perception of cost and reward. What will this relationship give me, and what will it cost me? Maybe you want to be close to somebody, but they know that for whatever reason you can't become close. other obligations you have or whatever, well, it's going to cost me too much for that relationship, so I'm going to avoid it. So generally, we want to have the rewards to be greater than the cost. Outcome net value. What we want is like a paycheck. We get $1,000 a month, but we bring home $800 a month. That's our net. We want our net to be at a level that's acceptable. We don't want it to cost us money to work, just like we don't want it to cost us to be in a relationship. And we always strive for what the book calls the mini max. Mini max is that we want our benefits high to be our benefits to be high and our cost to be low. It's like when you get a car. You want a car that gives you a lot of benefits. It's reliable, it's good looking, it gets you where you want to go, it's easy to park, it's good on gas. You don't want to have one that's guzzling gas and oil and cost in the insurance and cost you too much money in the payments. The comparison level is the CL is the bottom line. In this relationship, this is my bottom line. This is as far as I'll go. And the comparison level alternative, CL alt, is the best outcome available. I personally wish they would have used different terminology. When I was first learning this, getting confused between the CL and the CL alt was easy because they look and sound so much alike. But it's something that they came up with, not me. There's oftentimes we see things that I would have done it differently. It just happens to be one of them. Ethical egotism is making the best of life, basically. There's going to be pleasure and there's going to be pain in life, but you want the maximum pleasure and the minimum amount of pain. You want a relationship to make you happy. You don't want a relationship that's going to make you happy for a little bit and then hurt, happy for a little bit, hurt. You don't want an abusive relationship. The dialectical model is basically the tension between disclosure and withdrawal. How much am I going to give and then how much am I going to take back? We often deal with these dialectical models in our life. I want to be with people. I want to be alone. I want to give you this information. I want to keep this private. And territoriality, the book talks about, is roommates in college and if they kept their own space, they tend to have a better relationship. And to me, it's kind of like Sheldon's spot. I know most of you have probably seen Big Bang Theory, and it was Sheldon's spot. That was my spot. As long as he had that, he was happy. He was okay with the relationships, basically. You can come into my living room and share my space, but this is mine. And we all need our own mine. We don't need to be invaded by our roommates and our friends just taking our stuff and without asking and not caring about how we think about it. So territoriality is something that we all experience. This is mine. Do you ever put something in a refrigerator and somebody else ate it at work or something? We need to respect each other's space, but we also need to claim our own space. We have to set boundaries up. So that is a quick run through of chapter 8. Once again, I'm giving you a quick overview of these chapters. If I took the time to teach these chapters, we'd be here until you're my age. So this is an overview that I'm giving. Hopefully with my overview and you reading the chapter, you'll understand it enough that should you decide to use that theory or maybe write about that theory in your paper, then you will go more in depth and get a better understanding. If you want to use that theory in research, you need to understand it better. But this way, you have an idea of what's out there. Uncertainty reduction theory, chapter 9. Basically, in a nutshell, it's the more we know about whatever, the more comfortable we are with it. If you are all of a sudden stuck as a roommate with somebody and know nothing about them, then you're more guarded. Um, if you are on a train and somebody sits next to you and you know nothing about this person, but you're making assumptions through what you see and everything else, it makes you either want to get to know them better or want them farther away. So uncertainty reduction means basically if we reduce the uncertainty in our minds, then we'll be more comfortable. Our relationship will get deeper. We will know one another better. Part of the thing about it is anticipation. Do we think we'll ever see them again? If we don't, then uncertainty is kind of, I'll never see this person again. Doesn't really matter to me. Have you ever been on a train or a plane or something and somebody sitting down next to you tell you the whole life story? Uh, they're letting go on you because they'll probably never see you again. Incentive. What's the reward for this relationship? So the anticipation, will I see them again? Okay, I will. I need to reduce this uncertainty. What is my reward? What am I going to get out of this? And I don't want it to sound like everybody's a gold digger. Uh, we want to get things out of a relationship. We want to have friendship. We want to have comfort. We want to have a companion. And it's not just intimate sexual relationships. It's all of our relationships. What's my reward? Deviance. Is this person really strange and weird and I'm really uncomfortable because they're near me? Um, what is it about them that's bothering me? Attribution theory suggests that we're guessing because of how they act or look. I've been all over the world and I've seen some very strange people in Frankfurt on the train, with mohawks that were 2 feet high and spiked and rainbow colored. And it's like, well, it's not my cup of tea, but if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I've seen people that look attractive and nice. When I teach in person, generally I have a suit on because to me that's the way I should dress as an older person in charge of a class. I mentioned that I think before in a video that some of my peers in grad school were in shorts and flip flops and tank tops and baseball hats and if I walked in like that, then you guys would probably definitely thought I was deviant because what's this old man trying to look young for? So attribution theory, we're going to look at somebody and how they act and how they look, and we're going to make our own guess about that person. Uh, Uncertainty reduction is the more I know, the better I can guess. So the book talks about axioms. Axiom is self-evident proof. The author actually came up with seven of the theory, and then the author of the text came up with an eighth one because of times have changed. But when I was a student taking this course, the professor actually wanted us to memorize each axiom and how it affected the other axioms and the combination of 20 something axioms because of their variables. And I don't want to go down that path with you folks. I want you to be aware of them, and if you decide to use this theory, then yes, you definitely need to know about it. That's one of the reasons I have an open book test, because I want you to find the answer and know the answer. I don't want you to try to memorize all of this stuff and then dump it as soon as the test is over. excuse me. So the first axiom, which is it's self-evident proof, so to speak, according to the textbook, it's a truth and a proof that's there. So the first axiom, number one, verbal communication. As verbal communication increases, uncertainty decreases. And I mean that's, for lack of a better word, common sense. The more you get to know somebody, the more you talk to somebody, your uncertainty about them decreases. Now, your dislike for them may increase, but the uncertainty decreases. Axiom number two, nonverbal warmth increases. As nonverbal warmth increases, uncertainty decreases. This is also evident by life. I mean, if you think about it, if somebody is smiling when they talk to you, and they're comfortable and makes you comfortable, it decreases the uncertainty. They did a study once. The same woman was dressed up to the nines, makeup, glasses, hair done, beautiful outfit, read a story to a group of kindergartners. And then the same girl came back with, a baggy hoodie on, with sweatpants, with her hair in a ponytail, no makeup, and read a story to the kids. And they asked the kids which one was the best, which one was the smartest. And the little kid said that the pretty one was the smartest. The pretty one was the best because of the nonverbal connection she made with him. Axiom number three, an increase in information seeking decreases uncertainty. So the more information that you ask for, you request, you seek, if you get that information, it decreases uncertainty. Axiom number four, low levels of uncertainty increase intimacy. Okay, the better you know somebody, the more intimate, and that does not mean sexual, the more intimate you are with them. Axiom 5, high levels of uncertainty produce high levels of reciprocity. I'm uncertain. You're uncertain. We're getting together. We're having a conversation. The more uncertain I am, the more questions I'm going to ask, and hopefully the more answers you're going to give. Axiom number 6, similarity decreases uncertainty. So you see somebody, I see another, if I walk into a crowded place and there's another guy that's 63 years old, that's got a short haircut, that looks like he used to be in the military, I'll go chat with him, as opposed to somebody else that a 30-year-old. Because I don't have a whole lot in common with 30-year-olds, with 20-year-olds. But I mean, I've got kids in their 30s. I can understand them. I can talk to them, but they're not similar to me. And that does not necessarily mean race or gender, but just what is similar. I mean, how is this person similar to you? Maybe they have a baseball hat on that says Bulldogs or Auburn or Alabama or whatever your team happens to be. That's a start. That's a similarity. Okay, they're an Auburn fan. They're a Georgia fan. I'm going to go talk to, I can talk to that person. Maybe I'm a Rotarian. Maybe they have a Rotary shirt on or a Rotary pin. Different, whatever causes the similarity decreases uncertainty. Axiom 7, liking decreases uncertainty. Okay. Why they created some of these, I really don't know. Going back to the note that says an axiom is self-evident proof. Okay. If I like somebody, I'm less uncertain about it. Axiom 8, which the text or maybe the author, somebody created later on, is shared networks decrease uncertainty. If we hang out with the same people, but we don't know each other, and I realize that I see you at a party and you're talking to these 3 people that I talk to, and later on you're talking to these 2 people that I talk to, it's a shared network. we're talking to those people, or maybe it's online. I get online, get on LinkedIn, and I see that you are connected with this group of friends, this group of friends. I mean, when I get a LinkedIn notification, oftentimes it says that you share connections with this many people. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll connect with that person. So a theorem, on the other hand, an axiom is a self-evident truth. A theorem is a result of two axioms. So they combine this axiom and that axiom and come up with a theorem. We tend to make a plan when we are trying to get to know somebody better. And the book talks about having a goal, making a plan. Do we do it consciously? Not all the time. Sometimes we do it consciously because I want this person to like me. You're getting to know your significant other. You're going to meet your significant other's parents for the first time. Okay, my plan, I want them to like me. So, they are middle-aged, they're conservative. Yeah. Well, maybe I've got long hair and tattoos and everything else. Well, I'm not going to cut my hair, but I make sure my hair is washed, make sure the clothes I have on it are nice. Be polite to them in a manner that they are expecting you to be. That's your plan. When the plan falls through, then you fall back to your secondary. And in this plan, we're seeking information. We're trying to get to know them a little bit better. We're trying to understand them so we can hopefully build a relationship or create a relationship. In different ways we seek information, there's a passive way. We're watching somebody. Whereas watching does not always give us a true picture. It gives us an idea. How is this person acting with other people? What are they doing? A friend of mine he's blind. He was in a car. They were at a gas station. His wife went in to pay. He decided he wanted a soda. So he got out of the car and walked in and stumbled over the curb and stumbled into the display and stumbled into the door because he left his cane in the car. And this lady said, "Are you drunk?" Well, he's a devout Mormon and he doesn't drink. And it hurt him and insulted him so badly, he will not go anywhere without his cane again. Because the passive watching, somebody made an assumption that was incorrect. Active is asking a third party. The book talks about the guy asked the other drivers about the dispatcher. Sometimes you ask your classmates about this certain person that you've seen. Are they dating anybody? What are they like? What do they do? Because you're looking for a way to build your plan to get to know them. Interactive, face to face, talk to the person. That seems to be the best thing to do most of the time. Talk to the person. Find out what their interests are. But sometimes when you do the passive and the active, you're trying to find out what their interests are, what their hobbies are, what they do. So you have an opening, so to speak, to talk to them about. But you can always just say, hey, what do you do for a hobby? What do you like to do? Where do you like to eat? Start with the basics and get deeper. Extractive. Oh, let's go stalk somebody on their social network. Well, I like this person. Let's see. This is where they go. This is what they do. This is where they eat. This is their friends. You know, is their persona you see the same as the persona that they have on their social networking? If it's not, there's a conflict that you have to figure out. We'll get to that point in a little bit. Plan complexity. like I said, a lot of times you plan these things out, and other times you're doing it on the fly. But basically, you need to keep it simple. It's kind of like when I tell my students about public speaking. If you try to memorize it and you get off, it's going to just blow you away and you're going to get confused and everything else. But on the other hand, if you know it, this is what I want to do, and can go with it, you're much better off. But try to keep it simple. If you have it so complex that this has to happen, and this has to happen, this happens, and then this can happen. But if this happens, then this happens. Then it's like one of those flow charts you see in some of your textbooks that have 4,000 different directions. If you are making a plan to start a relationship, keep it simple. Hedging. When you meet somebody and you're just getting to know one another. Hedging basically is ambiguity with a way out. Okay. You like surfing? No, I don't. I hate surfing. Hate the ocean. Yeah, I understand. I tried it a couple of times. I'm really not happy with either. Maybe an avid surfer, but you don't want to tell them that at this point in time for some other reason because you're trying to win them over, whatever the case may be. Say something lighthearted or as a joke. And we do that all the time. You want to go back to my place? I was just kidding. So, ambiguity, a way out. Hedging is a way out. Hierarchy hypothesis. Once again, this is about your plan. Change the approach, not the goal. If your goal is to get this person to go out on a date with you, and you start with this plan here, like I said, keep it simple because if there's the curve thrown into it, you got to regroup and come back. You don't. It's okay to change the early stages, the approach, but not the goal. And sometimes you may realize that the goal is not achievable, but you don't change the goalpost. Relational uncertainty. I really like this person. I want to get to know this person better. I think that we could be really good together. And then you start getting to know that person, and you figure out that I'm not sure where this is going to go. I'm Catholic, and she's Jewish, and this, that, and the other, and maybe it's not going to work out. But I've met a lot of mixed religion relationships that work rather well. But it just causes uncertainty, doubts about where this is going to go. Is it going to go like I thought it was, or not? Partner interference is pretty much self-explanatory. I want to get to know this person better, and this person keeps throwing up roadblocks. This person interferes with it, and changes this and that, or let's meet. Well, maybe we'll meet. I'm not sure. Oh, I got to cancel. Whatever they're doing, they're throwing roadblocks into the progression of this relationship. Relational turbulence is negative emotion from perceived problems. Going back to the different religion thing, relational uncertainty. Well, if I can't go to their church, they can't go to my church. I really like this person, but I don't know if I can accept them because of their religious beliefs, whatever the case may be. Relational turbulence is negative emotions from perceived problems, not from problems, not from problems exist, but this may be a problem, so this is turbulent. Chapter 10. Social information processing theory. I got to be honest with you folks. This wasn't a theory when I went through school. It may have been coming out, but Um, you know, it was a long time ago. Let's just put it that way. But I found it interesting. I mean, when I read it, one of the questions was, can an online relationship be real, quote unquote, or as real as face to face? And I've met a lot of people that met via the internet and have great relationships, great friendships. I've met some that had terrible ones. Early years of the internet, people were, they would use monikers as opposed to their names, and they have a TV show, catfishing. People uh, faking and trying to, and there's still that going on. I have a friend that I graduated with that got on a Christian singles network because she knew that she was a Christian and she would meet good people there, and the first three or four guys that she met were basically on there just trying to get what they could out of these trusting Christian women. They were charlatans, they were scams. So they are there, but the theory says that you can get to know somebody via the internet or via social networking that is not possible, or that's equivalent to meeting them face to face. And impression and formation. What I think of someone when I my first impression of them. This looks like a likable person. I like the quotes that they put on there. I like the things they follow. So my impression formation, or I would never follow that group. Or wait a minute, this person's a Republican, or this person's a Democrat. I could never be friends with them. Uh, don't be so close-minded personally, but I mean, I've got a lot of friends in both categories. I don't agree with them all, but I got a lot of friends. Cues filtered out. The thing about this is there's a lack of nonverbal communication. We connect online, we chat, we write letters, we text, we do whatever, but it's all crafted. So there's a lot of cues that I may filter out in these communications that I don't want you to know about because there's no nonverbals. Um, Flaming, negative, and nasty comments. You've seen that many times. And unfortunately, I honestly believe that people are pissed off about something, especially say a restaurant or you got service somewhere at a business. If you're pissed off, you're going to get on that website and say what they did wrong. I mean, it drives us. I got to tell somebody. I'm so mad at them. But what about when they give you really great service? Are you just as driven to get on their website and say this is a great place? Maybe not. Uh, Think about the social information processing as verbal replaces nonverbal. That's something that's very familiar for a blind guy. I may have told you my dissertation. I interviewed 13 couples that were sighted when they got together. Now one's blind, and how did you overcome the loss of nonverbal cues? So we have to rely on verbal replacing nonverbal, and when it's all textual, a text written online, whatever, it can be very crafted. When we're on the phone with somebody and actually talking, which you may, meet somebody online and end up making a phone call or doing a live feed on online, you can hear it in their voice. A lot of times, you can hear nonverbals in somebody's voice. I mean, think about it. You've been on a phone call with somebody. It's like, what's wrong? No, something's wrong. I can tell. So we can pick up nonverbals audibly, but when it's all written, we can't. inconsistent messages, because it's all verbal. A lot of times when we actually have a conversation with somebody, we get inconsistent messages. What's wrong? Nothing, but I can hear something's wrong in your voice. Or, man, I really like that class. You're shaking your head no, but you're saying yes. That's inconsistent messages where verbal and nonverbal don't match. Um, Positive comments, positive people tend to bring us closer. In the study they did in the textbook, they had confidants, and some of them were told to be nice, and some of them were told to be distant and awkward. And the ones that were nice, whether it be strictly communication, technical, computer communication, or person to person, the subject of the study liked them better. When they were distant, aloof, when they were mean, whether it be online or person to person, the subject did not like them, and the relationship did not grow. Extended time. The thing about a written computer mediated communication is you have more time to construct your persona. You have more time to construct your message. I can write it. No, I don't like that. Let me change this word. Let me change that word. Da, 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 and then send it. So I can craft the person I want you to see, as opposed to when we're sitting down face to face, I might say something that offends you, and not mean to, but that word came out. Once again, when I teach public speaking, I give them a toothpaste, a little tube of toothpaste, and I put them in a team and said, figure out the fastest way to get it out. And then I say, okay, put it back. Uh, when you are face to face, if it comes out, you're not taking it back. You've all probably had many conversations with your significant others, your friends, your family members, where you said something you did not want to say. And think about computer mediated communication, you've got more time to construct it. What is your anticipated future interaction? I enjoy chatting with this person, and they live in Germany, and I live in the United States, and I will probably never see them. But I enjoy the time. I look forward to the times we communicate. That's anticipated future interaction. Are you looking forward to these chats and talks, or it's like, I'm going to kind of ghost this person because I'm tired of hearing from them. They're whining. I have a good friend that emails me every day. I'm tired of hearing it, but I still get his emails. Occasionally I comment on them. Chronomex, however you pronounce it, time. The thing about computer mediated communication is it's asymmetric. I can write, and then you might write back. You might not write back for 3 hours. I have a friend that lives in Kazakhstan. They're 12 hours between us. Well, sometimes in the morning when I get up at 5 a.m., it's 5 p.m. there, and he and I will chat, and then he goes to bed. And other times, it's like 9 o'clock at night here is 9 a.m. there. We'll chat a little bit, and I go to bed. Or I'll get up and he'll send me a message at 10 a.m. his time. I might not get it till the next morning. So we're not always in the same time zone. And a lot of times there's no rush to answer. I know oftentimes when we text somebody, it's like, they haven't texted me back yet. They haven't texted me back yet. Give it a break. There's a good friend of mine, best friend from growing up. She and I will text. I'll write her a text. Hey, how you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. And 2 weeks later, I'll get a response. Sorry, I was busy. I'm doing okay. How about you? And I might write back when I get it, and I might write back a day or two later, depends on what's going on in my life. There's no rush for either one of us, but we stay connected with this fluctuating time frame. Now, would I like to text and her have her respond right away? Yeah, I would. But it's not going to happen because she got a life, I got a life. But if we were face to face and I say, "Hey, how are you doing?" I'd expect an answer almost right away. If sometimes you ask somebody that and they're kind of staring off into space, I mean, my wife does it to me all the time. It's like, "What are you thinking about, huh? What? Well, I ask you how you're doing, you didn't answer. Oh, sorry, I was, you know." And that's rude, but sometimes we space out. Um, Hyper-personal perspective is the claim that online is more intimate than face-to-face. And I will admit that a lot of times with the anonymity of being online, I could admit all kinds of things and be more intimate, more open with people that I know I will never see. Kind of like that person sitting next to you on the plane. So in that aspect, I can understand it. But on the other hand, if it's online and you're anticipating seeing them, okay, I'm gonna move to Denver to take a job, and I've been talking to this person from Denver for the last 2 years. Uh, I might change how I talk when I realize that I'm going to see them. Selective self-presentation. That goes back to what I was talking about earlier with crafting your persona. I can tell you what I want you to know about me, but it doesn't mean it's the truth. Attribution. Actions speak louder than words. So, if I'm looking at it, I'm telling you I'm this way, but you look at my Facebook page and you say, oh, no, he's not that way. Which one are you going to believe? You're going to believe what you read on my Facebook. Uh, Asynchronous channel, because it's asynchronous, like this class, that you have time to reply. Self-fulfilling prophecy. If I believe this is the way it's going to be, then because I do this, it will probably make that come true. Because I'm going to work to make my prophecy come true. I'm going to try to make this happen. So, a lot of times it only comes true because we make it come true. Warranting value. That is where looking at somebody's LinkedIn page and Facebook page and Twitter and Snapchat and all this other stuff, you see the real you. You see the real me, I should say. People see the real you more so than our conversation. So that is going to have greater value than what I tell you. If I tell you that I am 28 years old and buff and 6 foot and 190 pounds and you see a real picture of me, then you can know the truth. The next part of that chapter actually talks about how phones are changing face-to-face communication, and I personally agree with that. Before, everybody had their electronic leash in their pocket and was texting and chatting with everybody all over the world. People actually had more conversations. I was a smoker in the Army, and I'd go down to the smoking area. It used to be I could smoke in my office, but when they changed all that, you had to go somewhere to smoke. We'd sit down and have conversations. I was recently at a conference, and I know that I like to go to the smoking area now because people have conversations. I went to the smoking area at the conference, and everybody was on their phone, not talking to one another. So, have they changed face to face? I think they have. Relationship. Okay, that was it for chapter 10. The next section of the book talks about relationship maintenance. How do we maintain a relationship? Now that you started one, how do you maintain it? And the thing about what people don't understand is relationships don't maintain themselves. You have to actively work to make a relationship work. I've been married 40 years. I know I'm ancient. Um, but people say, well, 40 years, that's a long. But I told my kids, I said, that fantasy when you were literally sitting, they met, they fell in love, and lived happily ever after. That's bull. Okay. Uh, if you don't work at it, it's not going to last. And the other part of that is marriage is 50-50. No, it ain't. Okay. Sometimes it's 100% her and zero me. And sometimes it's 100% me and zero her. Now, over the long run, it should average out to 50-50. And if it doesn't, you are in a one-sided relationship that basically we talk about a little bit in the next chapter. But it's never, and if you keep score, well, last time you were, then it causes problems too. So it's something you have to work at, even if it's a friendship, and not a marriage or boyfriend girlfriend or intimate or sexual relationship. If it's just intimate friends, you have to work at it. The friend I was speaking of earlier about texting, hadn't seen her for about 44 years. I went back to Houston for a conference. We got together, had dinner, because we had maintained this relationship, this communication over the years. There's other people I went to high school that I would not have a clue of how to pick, how to find them, how to meet them. I wouldn't know what I was going to say to them if I ran into them and knew who they were. So you have to maintain it. You have to do something. Now, chapter 11 talks about relational dialects theory. And a dialogue or communication, the dynamic of a relationship is like I was saying earlier. It's an unceasing struggle. If you don't try to make it work, it ain't gonna work. Discourse, a discussion about a topic between the two of you in the relationship. It may be the latest baseball game. It may be what's on the menu. It may be how the kids are doing in school if you're married or if you have children together. It may be my parents are getting old and they're not doing well. Whatever, the discourse is the discussion about a topic. A monologue is basically a one-way speech. I don't even want to say conversation, although the book I think calls it a conversation. A monologue is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm telling you this. In a relationship, if you have a monologue, especially all the time, it's a one-sided relationship and it's not the 50-50 I was talking about earlier. A dialogue is multiple voices with a back and forth. My wife wanted a new dining room table. And so she wanted to have a discussion about it, a discourse about it. And she said, well, do you think we should get an oval one or a rectangle one? And I said, a flat one. Okay, that's all I cared about. Of course, she did not like my comment because I was like, I don't care, flat. No. You got to give me more. Okay, in the space that we have here, a oval one would probably be fine because of the size of the room. But, we're in the military and we're going to move. So there's no telling what size will fit in another place. So, although I like a rectangle one better because the added corner space gives us more places to put things, I think that an oval would probably be best because we don't know what the next dining room is going to be like. a dialogue back and forth. Okay, she said, but I prefer a oval as well, and I have to agree that space, but whatever the case. Utterance chains, comments spoken or not bearing in. Utterance chains. What are they talking about? You ever that little voice inside yourself intrapersonal communication? You know, that voice talking to you as you're having a conversation with somebody else. Uh, that's kind of like what these utterance chains are. It's you thinking about the comments that you have made, others have made about what's going on, and they break it down into four different categories: nearby, already spoken, previous events. So the book talks about mom wanting to know if girl's coming home for holiday from university. Well, last time she didn't, mom gave her hell for it. So it's a nearby, already spoken. It's close to her, it's close to the relationship of the two people, and it's something her mom already said last time. Nearby, not yet spoken, is what somebody in the relationship might say. Thoughts about what they might say, or thoughts about what might be said. Last time she gave me hell because I didn't go home, but maybe she understands now. So maybe she won't say anything. Maybe she will. Distant, already spoken, is culture, friends, religion. What does your culture say you should do? What do your friends say you should do? What does your religion or society say you should do? That's distant, already spoken. You were raised in this religion. You were raised in this culture. You had these friends for so many years. You know what they have said in the past. Distant, yet not yet spoken, is the person outside of the relationship that you know that, okay, this person's going to have something to say about it. So that all goes on in your mind when you're having this conversation with somebody about something, this discourse. The super addressee is a distant, already spoken, more or less. It's the future utterance of a moral authority. A moral authority doesn't give you any slack, and you can't go this way. Thou shalt not kill means you can't kill. How do you handle that? Some people have become conscientious objectors in the military because my moral authority says I can't kill, but I still want to help. There's a great movie called Hacksaw Ridge about a guy that did that. He was very religious. He wasn't going to carry a gun, but he was a medic, and he saved like 75 people by himself on a battlefield because that's what his moral authority said. I can do this, but I can't carry a gun. What's your moral authority going to say? Well, you got to honor your mother and your father, so if she wants you to come home, you got to go home whether you like it or not. Discursive struggles. Two or more discourses vying for dominance in the conversation. Going back to the dining room table. The discourse I might have is, we always have friends over for dinner and da 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 da. We need a bigger table. Da, da, da. We need to sit 6 or need to sit 8, and we need to have an expand. And my wife her discourse on it might be, well, we have, only 5 people in the family. We don't need anything that sits more than 6. What's going on between the two? One of them wants to be dominant. I want to win all the arguments with my wife. She wants to win all the arguments with me. And if we are coming from different perspectives, there will be a struggle in the discourses. Internal dialects. That's the dialect within a relationship. That's what's going on between my wife and myself. What are we talking about? How? What's our perspective on it? External dialects is the community and culture are now involved. How does the culture we were raised in affect? I was raised where somebody's always welcome. Luckily, my wife was too. I met people that was like, no, you don't just invite somebody to my house. So, without talking to me first. And it's best to talk to them, to be honest with you. But there's a chart on page 135 of the book that talks about these internal and external dialects, integration and separation. I want everybody to be happy, and I want to be alone. Stability and change. What's routine? I get up, I make I exercise, I have my coffee, I have breakfast, I have a cigar. That's routine. Spontaneity. Get up and take off and go fishing. When I could drive, I could do that. I can't drive no more, so I can't. So what's going on? The expression and non-expression, privacy and disclosure. Sometimes you want to express yourself, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you keep it to yourself. Sometimes you disclose it. The dominant discourse is what is central in the argument, what is central in the conversation. The marginalized discourse is those that are peripheral to it. What are the smaller discourses you have on the outside? And diachronic separation is different, talking about different discourses at different times. You can't have a good conversation if I'm going from one discourse and you're going from another, and we're just competing all the time. But if we have a dominant discourse and then we bring a peripheral one in, as long as it's going back and forth, that's the different discourses at different times. It's not like immediate back and forth, because if it is, you'll never come up with anything at all. Spiraling inversion is switching back and forth over time. Let's talk about it from this perspective. Let's talk about it from this perspective. How are we changing things differently? Segmentation, compartmentalizing. Different discourses speak to different aspects. Now, if you go back to that dining room table, if our discourse was, we have 5 people in the family, we need to feed 5, we got to have the tables for 4, we got to have a bigger table. Okay. Then if we start changing it to, okay, well, every year our family comes in for Christmas. And now instead of having 5 people, I have my mom and dad. Now that's 7. The table only sits 6. What can we do? So it's a different aspect. Okay, this is everyday, this is holiday. Synchronic interplay is different discourses at the same time. If you can pull this off, if you can talk about the family and holidays at the same time, it works great. But if you can't, sometimes it doesn't play together. The book talks about, the author eating a taco. Used to be I eat the cheese and then the meat and then the shell. Now I take one bite, everything together. And I eat like that. I want it all. I want the mixture, I want the different textures, I want the different taste. But as they said, ketchup and ice cream don't go good together. So sometimes some discourses do not match. And if they don't match, you can't put them together. Negating. No matter what I say, my wife tells me I'm wrong and dismisses it, or vice versa. No matter what she says, I say she's wrong and I dismiss it. That's negating. Countering, on the other hand, is replacing an expected discourse with a different one. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what if we look at it from this perspective? What if we look at it from this aspect? It brings in a different light, a different way to see something. One thing that I've known over the years is there's a theory we'll get to called standpoint theory of communication. Actually, it was called at one time the feminist standpoint theory of communication. And they see, everybody, the theory says that women see the world differently than men because of our social upbringing. And so I've learned a long time ago, I need to look at it from different perspectives. I see things from my perspective. My wife sees things from hers. I have been told that she's right and I'm wrong. But sometimes I'm right. Sometimes she's right. A lot of times we're both wrong. And by looking at each other's perspective, we find out a different perspective. Like divorce. There's her side, his side, and the truth. Because we each have our own perspective. And so taking the opportunity to counter something and replace a discourse with a different one is often a good idea to allow you to see the whole picture. Entertaining. I'm going to consider the alternatives because I'm entertaining your idea. Transforming, combine different discourses into a new one. Much like the axioms of the last theory we talked about. If we combine the two discourses, I'm worried about when we have more than our family, she's worried about our family. We combine the two, we're worried about dinner. So we transform it. Dialogue creates our relational worlds. We talked about this before. Communication creates us in our relationships. I fully believe that. If we don't communicate with somebody, we won't have a relationship with them. And in many ways, they create us. What I say creates me. What you see of me creates me. I can tell you that I'm all these things, but you can look at my Facebook and my LinkedIn and talk to these other people and find out that I do this. So communication creates us and our relationships. And I definitely believe that. Dialectical flux, unpredictable interpersonal relationships. They happen all the time. If you are in a relationship, trust me, there's some unpredictable portions of it that pop up. Sometimes rear their ugly head. Sometimes it's a beautiful thing to find out, wow, I didn't expect that. So that's what dialectical flux is. Critical sensibility is critiquing dominant voices. If in my relationship, I'm the head of the household, this is my house, and you're going to do what I do. If you critique that, you'll find out oftentimes that that dominant voice is pretty limited. So you have to critique the dominant voice to get other voices in. Consequentialist ethics. Beneficial or harmful. What is using the ethical background you have, what is beneficial, what's harmful to the relationship? Principles of veracity. Truth is preferred to lies absent special circumstances. I was in a couples communication class when I was an undergrad, and a professor asked, is 100% honesty necessary in a relationship? And I was the only guy, and there was like 8 or 9 girls that were, or excuse me, women that were 18 to 22, let's say. And I said, nope. And they all went off. What do you mean, no? If he's cheating on me, I said, that's not what he asked. He asked, is 100% honesty required in a relationship? And I say, no. What do you mean by that? Because if he's cheating on me, that's not what he said. I said, my wife and I made an agreement a long time ago. Never ask a question you don't really want to know the answer to. Because if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. But when my favorite meal is X, and I've been working all day, and I come home, and my wife tried to make me my favorite meal. And I sat down, and it was pretty good, but Mama makes it better. Is it best to say it was great, thank you, or is it best to be honest and say, yeah, it's okay, but Mom makes it better? I said it was great. Why? Because I wanted her to cook again for me. Okay, it's real simple. But if he's cheating, I said that's not what he asked. I mean, that's what they were focused on. And then so one of them asked me, said, "Well, did your wife ever cheat on you?" I said, "Oh no, I didn't ask." They said, "Well, did you ever cheat on your wife?" I said, "She never asked." In other words, none of your damn business. So truth is preferred to lies absent special circumstances. I kind of like that. What's so special about the circumstances is I didn't want to hurt her feelings. She worked really hard to make something for me that I like. So the special circumstances in that particular case, in my opinion, was I can hurt her feelings or I cannot. And in a relationship, what do you want to do? Do you want to be blatantly honest with the other person all the time and destroy their feelings just because it's the truth? When it's not consequential. It is not consequential in this particular case to be harmful. I mean, if I'm harmful, it does have a consequence. So, being beneficial, thank you, I appreciate it, it was great, is much better in a relationship. That's my perspective. You may feel differently. And if that's the way you do, that's your relationship, that's fine. I'm just telling you the theory is this, and I tend to agree with it. Um, I don't want to hurt her feelings. So, now if it was something else, like having a relationship, an affair, would that hurt her feelings? Yeah, it would, but would it be best to be honest with her? In that particular case, like I explained to the class, if my wife had an affair and found out one time and found out, this is what I want to be where I was. I don't want her to tell me because it would hurt me, and it is not going to be beneficial to the relationship. If you're having an affair, continuing affair, and you want to keep it that way, then tell me about it. Hurt me because this relationship needs to end. That would be beneficial to the relationship. So that is the perspective on lying. That's my perspective on lying. That's chapters 8 through 11. I hope I brought some light to the subject for you. I may or may not have, and let me know. Once again, this is an overview. I'm not trying to get in depth on any of them. We have another week, I think, of 4, and then it goes back down to 3. And near the end of the semester, we have, I think, 1 or 2 per week. So, if you have any questions, email me, and good luck. Bye.